with that being said, we are jumping into game number 3 over here. Iaguz has to win this one to push this into a 2v2 decider. Whereas if Donati wins, then the European team takes over and move into the finals. On the left side is Donati as the English in red, and on the right side we do have Iaguz playing as the Abbasids in blue. So, looking at Iaguz, he's opening up with the House of Wisdom right away. Let's talk about this a little bit here. When is the appropriate time to build the House of Wisdom in your perspective?
Mm, the way I think about it is you want to have idle villager timing when you need to have it. So if you're using a villager to make your House of Wisdom instantly as soon as you age up, you're actually having approximately 10% of your villager economy idle. So I would say make a build order so that you can start making your House of Wisdom. So as soon as it finishes, you click to age up. You have the amount of resources that you need.
Donati actually opened with the second scout over here, so he wants to pile up as many sheep as he can. He probably wants to play professional scouts here even. That's what I would expect from him. We have seen him doing that in the previous game, and it makes some sense with the English here as well. You would have a very nice food economy to start with professional scouts. Whereas on the other side, you do have barely any sheep for Iaguz, really. He's got nothing following a scout. He's probably like, where are all the sheep at?
They're behind Don Artie's scout, behind his base.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lot of sheep for Donati, and it's one thing that you're getting the sheep for yourself. I think the bigger deal is that you're taking it away from your opponent. Now, Iaguz has the Abbasids, so he won't be very disappointed to move towards berries early, but still, losing that many sheep at the beginning is definitely going to be painful, especially in a game that could decide the outcome of the set.
I'm really curious on how Don Artie is going to approach this matchup. I mean, the safest bet for the Abbasid player is to scout, make make a few horsemen, and then take a TC, or even take a TC and then make some horsemen. But maybe he won't do that because of the forward berries. We will see. But I'm mostly curious about the English. Like,
Looks like a council hall is coming in here for Donati, building it with 4 villagers. On the other side, it's the economy wing coming in for Iaguz, the standard approach of aging up here to feudal age. You will get that fresh foodstuffs upgrade as soon as possible, so you get your villager discount. And currently, it seems like we're not going to have any kind of aggression put up by Iaguz, so the only person to push here could be Donati. And that gold mine is very exposed for Iaguz, so he desperately needs a defensive tower over there.
oh, he only needs to gather 125 gold in order to get the upgrade after age up. After that, he can play horsemen and archers. Yes, and he will eventually obviously need to get gold in order to either take upgrades or age up. But it's not that important. It's more the most important thing is the berries that they're forward. I think that's what hurts him the most.
Looks like Iaguz is piling up a huge amount of wood in the bank, but he's not actually mining stones, so it probably will be multiple production buildings. I would expect double archer ranges at this point, or potentially stables. If you're expecting the longbow play, you probably want to open with horsemen and maybe add an archer range so you can snipe future spearmen.
It's the good thing about Abbasids is that by paying low food on your villagers, you can have lots of villagers on wood, and you can get like productions really fast. And you need buildings because of the golden age mechanic.
Speaking of the Golden Age, currently it is 5 buildings only for Iaguz with all of his structures connected, but of course the production buildings will add some. There's the stable and there's the range for Iaguz, and a second archer range even. Can you even afford to produce on all 3 of those structures consistently?
Yes, you can. If you're gathering berries, and you have the fresh foodstuffs upgrade that makes your villages cheaper, yes, you can produce from all that.
So, fresh foodstuffs on the way for Iaguz. There's already a couple of longbows coming through the map, though. Iaguz knows about them, and he hasn't added a defensive tower on his goal just yet. He'll probably pull the villagers and wait for the first horseman to arrive to push away the archers. On the other side, no barracks yet for Don Artie, so he has to be careful not to get overrun by cavalry here.
Imagine if Don Artie just decides to do a semi-fast castle after this.
I would love to see that. Although it's a little risky because you have to keep in mind that Iaguz already has the infantry siege upgrade thanks to being Abbasids, so he can move up with the archers anytime, get 2 rams going, and just steamroll you if you're not having any army. But you see, Don Artie is protecting the central area. Wouldn't be surprised to see a tower over here, and indeed there is the villager. You just want to make a tower here and get the network of castles expanded, but he's also walling up, and after that wall, heck yeah, semi-fast castle time.
Yep, and I really like that. I think it's really good transition for the English. When you're playing against an 1TC opponent, I think it's a really good transition. Because as soon as you get the upgrades for your longbows, then your longbows become healers. It doesn't matter if you have men at arms or knights. If you're defending and you have longbows upgraded, you can kill anything that comes close to your base.
And he's going to have a very favorable wall location over here. So you see that even if Iaguz wants to just wall behind, like he cleans up all these longbows, he tries to wall behind, that's a lot longer of a wall to make. So this is a very favorable location, and this is the moment where Iaguz will realize that Don Artie is walling. Also, an ambush party is set up over here in that stealth forest with the longbows. I think Iaguz should be able to finish these walls.
Actually, this is smart. The palisades. He just needs to snipe down the archers.
Exactly. He deploys the palings so the cavalry can't really charge in, and it looks like he's even going to just pretty much throw away all those longbowmen and sacrifice them for the good cause. And now he should focus the horsemen, because those are the units that can break the walls. So the archers won't be able to get through. Is it a mistake to make a gate there, though, right at the beginning? Feels like it.
He didn't need to do that. Like, it would have been a lot better if he made the tower first and then made the wall, because if he made a tower, he would be able to to avoid this fight and at the same time get a safe wall. But right now he sacrificed his units. He didn't wall, by the way. I think there's a way to pass.
Yeah, there's a way at the top. And he went for the gate, and this could all crumble here for Don Artie, because the horsemen will flood through, and all the game plan here for Don Artie is just going down the drain.
And there's no barrack. There's no barrack, so it's just longbows against horsemen.
And now I feel like if you're Iaguz, you would push up a wall in front, and, you know, that way if you get a wall up close to the opponent's base, then Don Artie will never be able to finish that wall, so you will always have free entry to the base of Don Artie. Oh boy. That's just so painful for him. He was so close to finishing that wall, but he decided to make a gate instead, and the right side was completely unfinished. Looking at the resources, no one is really close to Castle Age just yet, but it doesn't really look great for Don Artie that, as you said, no spearmen yet, and his walls are open.
Yes, and I don't know if I agree with if I agree with what Iaguz is doing right now. He keeps on making archers. Yes, archers is not a bad unit against longbows, but he should make more horsemen, especially when he sees that there's no longbowman. And if your opponent keeps on making longbowman at this rate, there's no way he can have wood in order to make a barrack and then start making spearmen.
Exactly. Every 7 seconds you train a longbowman, you see it's a consistent production from Don Artie, which means that you need about 400 wood per minute income to sustain that. Currently, it's exactly 400 for Don Artie, so he doesn't have the wood to make a barracks, doesn't have the wood to add spearmen.
And transition into a second town fender would also be such a good thing to do with for Iaguz. But I think what he's right now doing is he keeps on he keeps the pressure, and then he will eventually start making siege with his archers as soon as he gets into the castles, because I think that's his aim. He wants to get in a good castles timing.
he was taking very favorable engagement so far thanks to the horsemen, so if you look at that and you consider the fact that he also has discount on villagers, you see that he has a much higher food count right now than his opponent, and if he just starts sending villagers to gold, he could get towards Castle Age soon. I like how he is sort of opening that gap up a tiny bit more, so even if somehow a sneaky villager gets in there, it is a little bit more of an effort to finish that wall.
Yep, and Don Artie keeps on making only longbows.
And now those horsemen, with the buff that they received on their pierce armor, they will be pretty decent against those longbows. Longbows deploying the playlings, but it's the wrong direction.
I think that was a misclick. And also there's no upgrades for both of the players. They got stuck.
Yeah, they got stuck. Maybe Iaguz overextended here a tiny bit. I feel like he needs to regroup, because sending in horsemen one by one won't crack it. You gotta mass, get to like 10 horsemen, and then charge in, because you see, if you only have 2 or 3 fighting at the same time, the longbows can finish them in 2 volleys.
Yep. And there's 6 horsemen that just died, and like 3 or 4 archers killing 3 longbowmen, which was a terrible trade.
That was very, very wasteful here. And now, Iaguz, despite the fact that he's getting closer to Castle Age, currently is sitting on only 4 army, and that gold mine is still very much exposed, so suddenly he's the one that needs a lot more horsemen. Now going for double stable production. No blacksmith for the defense upgrade just yet. But Don Artie also doesn't have spearmen, so sure enough, you have a good mass of longbowmen, but the horsemen will still eat them for breakfast. And even if Don Artie finishes those walls, I feel like now for Iaguz, the goal is to go Castle Age and start adding siege.
Yep. Though he's forced to make horsemen because his food is vulnerable, and he knows that his opponent has lots and lots of horsemen. So if he doesn't make horsemen, he might die.
Horsemen will get a nice surround on the longbowmen, but this is not a fight that Iaguz can continue to take, because now you have the walls up, and there's the tower that you have been talking about before. You really want that tower up, so you have your network of castles bonus here, and then you can use this as a staging ground to get another tower up in the stealth forest and expand that radius. And the thing is that with the Abbasids, you can't just rush your castle. You can't send 20 villagers on the landmark and get it up very fast. You have to wait a steady 2 minutes for your next wing to build, so it's a lot of time for Iaguz to get to Castle Age here.
Yep. But it's also the fact that you're not having villagers building a landmark, which means that your villagers are working. So it's a plus, and it's mainly a good thing, but you don't have to build it.
Indeed, that is also true. It just depends on the circumstances. Right now, I feel like Iaguz would be very happy if he could just accelerate that age up with some more villagers, because he really needs that. 2 or 3 lancers out here would just annihilate whatever Don Artie has. The horsemen, they'll be alright, but not necessarily amazing, and you see that gold mine is already exposed. Villager goes down over here from Iaguz, the second one dies to the volley, and bad things are starting to pile up here for Iaguz.
Yep, and one of the reasons that this is happening is because he made too many archers, and he delayed his armory upgrades. And 6 horsemen won't be able to deal with all these longbows.
Indeed, and now we're talking about all those berries being wide open for raiding, and as you said, there is just no defense upgrades aside from the base 1 ranged armor on these. I'm not even sure if we have a blacksmith. We do, and that Iron Undermesh is just now finishing, so that fight was taken before that, and I feel like Don Artie will just be happy to kill all those villagers on the food. Question is, does he see them? He does. Iaguz is running for his life right now. He's running for this set, because if he loses, then Oceania is out and Europe moves into the finals.
Where is he running at? Oh, he was running towards the corner.
Yeah, could have been trapped in there. Castle Age almost in though for Iaguz, and he already has the defense upgrade. If he gets 2 or 3 lancers out, it could be devastating. But then again, oh boy, a panic market!
With 0 on food, I don't think you can get lancers out.
Oh, that's a disaster. He's rushing up a market so he can get some food for himself. This might actually be a decent fight over here for him.
I think this might be hit, actually.
Villagers are being pulled. The scouts will run into some of the palings. Quite a lot of the light cavalry, though, taking a decent fight here. Iaguz is not ready to give up on this just yet, but now the archers retreat into the range of that tower, so this is not a fight that Iaguz can take anymore. Iaguz is up to
Only
Castle
one
Edge.
lancer. Only one lancer. No, never mind. A second. No, yeah, only one lancer is coming out, and 2 horsemen.
I feel like now your only hope is a big mangonel shot. I don't see anything else working out for you. Simply because, as you said, 2 or 3 lancers won't clean up this many longbows that also have the network of castles soon thanks to that tower. And you see that Iaguz will need a lot of time until he recovers his economy, moving his entire food eco, 22 villagers, to the berries on the left side.
And there's only one lancer and 1 horseman defending.
Only 4
He's
villagers
going on stone.
advantage for Don Artie though, but the thing is that now Don Artie can just sit back and work towards that second town center and castle age. He doesn't need to invest a lot into army. Instead though, he decides to go aggressive. He decides to go for a battering ram and the infantry siege upgrade and start knocking on those buildings with the rams. Oh, look at that. Donor is even pulling villagers to take the hunt right next to the opponent's base. He knows exactly that he's got map control, might as well use it to its best effect.
Only longbowman.
Oh boy. Oh boy. And the thing is that you only have to destroy 2 landmarks here, the starting TC and the House of Wisdom. The House of Wisdom is pretty tanky, but it's not like you can spread your landmarks out with the Abbasids. And now my question is, how long is Iaguz gonna wait? He's massing Lancers, he has 1 shot at taking a decisive fight. But if he fights too early, he's going to lose everything, and I don't think 4 Lancers is enough here.
It's definitely not enough, and he's not gathering gold. He's gathering stone and selling the stone in order to get gold, by the way.
Well, he's no longer gathering stone either because he depleted that stone mine out here. I feel like even if he somehow recovers, the problem that he's facing is that his economy is an entire train wreck. His opponent has had a completely untouched economy, and soon will have Castle Age with the second town center, whereas Iaguz has been scrambling to survive for the last 10 minutes.
I think it's gonna be the White Tower in front of the House of Wisdom.
Oh, that would be massive. Lancers finally dive in, palings are being deployed here. It's just brute force numbers now, I feel like.
Yeah. Like, even if you don't do that much damage to Lancers, when you have 32 longbowmen, you will kill the Lancers.
Are you? Are you?
You should be able to.
I'm not sure if Don Artie has attack upgrades on those longbows, though. And that could be massive, because his opponent does have the defense upgrade, and he's got Lancers, so the combination of the two is actually enough to push this away. Iaguz lives to see another day.
Will his units though live? Because they're attacking a wall.
I don't know. I honestly feel like if Don Artie just had 5 spearmen in here, he would have won the game already. Now, he is on the way to Castle Age with the King's Palace. That's gonna be his second town center, whereas his opponent is still playing on 1 TC. Couple of villagers will get picked off here. Oh, Lancers once again charging on the longbows, and Don Artie did not notice that. That's going to be a slaughter here. So many longbows are going down. Not a huge army here from Iaguz, but he is making it work. It's just the high quality of those units, a lot of pierce armor, and those longbows are struggling to clean them up.
Making only 2 damage to a unit that has 230 HP? Oh, it's tough.
It is tough, even if you have the higher rate of fire with the longbows. Currently 51 villagers for Don Artie, 53 for Iaguz. Iaguz is stabilizing over here, and even though now Don Artie is in Castle Age, he will still need to get the Veteran Longwoman upgrade to be competitive against those Lancers. Springolds now being made. I feel like in this scenario you probably prefer Mangonels over Springolds, simply because you're fighting against one big ball of now Veteran Longbows.
Yep, maybe even a ram first. I would probably make a ram first and then go for mangonels, because the problem is that my opponent has a lot of longbows, and there's also 2 watchtowers, that outposts that I want to take down, and the Springle won't do it, and the mangonel won't do it. So I need a ram.
It looks like it's going to be pretty much full Lancers here from Iaguz. He's floating a lot of food, but really low on gold and wood. Currently missing the +2 defense on his cavalry, but he's thinking about taking that tower down. It has no arrow slits or anything, so this tower should go down rather easily. As Don Artie is preparing another push, he's now 2 town centers, so he can start pulling ahead in terms of economy. So I still think that Iaguz is on a timer, but he survived the worst, probably.
And crossbowmen are coming in the mix for the English player. And the stable.
And once you get crossbowmen out, those Lancers will start to struggle, although Lancers Mangonels might still work out, but you gotta be careful if you're Iaguz. 17 army only for our blue player, 22 for Don Artie, most of those being longbowmen. In the middle, another tower could go down here without any kind of retaliation by Don Artie, so network of castles bonus will fall back to the middle, although it looks like Don Artie might be thinking about fighting this. Yes.
Upgraded longbowmen do well. They have 10 damage instead of 8 that normal archers do. So they actually do damage against Lancers.
Especially considering that Lancers don't have the second defense upgrade yet, I do believe. Indeed, that's missing. Springald's now out for Iaguz. Still no Mangonels, though. He's got only the first Golden Age tier. That's mainly because he had to spread his base out so much. If he connected all these lumber camps and houses, he would get the second Golden Age for the extra gather speed.
I don't know if I agree with the Springles. I would definitely prefer like 2 Mangonels over those 4 Springles. Lancers and Mangonels. And then after 2 Mangonels, then I would start making Springles in order to count my opponent making Springles.
Iaguz also up in the second town center, so he's slowly stabilizing here as he's now setting up the Springles, take some shots on the longbows. I am starting to feel more and more confident in the army of Iaguz. As you said, it's probably better to have Mangonels on the battlefield, but those are very high quality units, so it's 29 army for Don Artie, 25 for Iaguz, but Lancers, of course, are worth way more than a single longbowman.
Yep. The English scouts look so cool with their capes.
Indeed, they do. And they are also very cheap, and they could snipe siege weapons. Looks like we're going to have a Men-at-Arms edition here, getting that wonderful Chad armor, something that's going to give them some extra melee and pierce armor. It makes them a lot more competitive against Lancers, because by default, the Men-at-Arms struggle quite badly against Lancers. But with that extra melee armor, they actually are pretty decent.
I would still prefer Spearman, because there's nothing to kill Spearman from my opponent.
Yeah. I would have also preferred Spearman, but apparently Don Artie doesn't agree with us because he hasn't made a single Spearman in this entire game. Springolds are rolling up over here, as we will probably observe the shortest-lived Men-at-Arms in history if those Springolds take a shot. Well, rip that guy.
I think Iaguz is overextending, to be honest.
Possible. I can see that being a thing, because there is now crossbows coming out, there is an outpost with a network of castles as well. On the other hand, by pushing this side, he ensures that his eco is not getting pushed, and he could potentially get a 2 TC boom. There's the flank here from Don Artie with the scouts trying to jump on the Springolds, but the Springolds actually get some shots in. The only problem here for Iaguz is that his only meat shield is the Lancers, and those will be killed by the crossbows. There's a Mangonel behind, but it's unable to shoot the archers.
Funny how the walls are working against Don Artie right now.
It indeed does. Now, the archers are getting closer, and you gotta be careful here if you're Don Artie, because those Mangonels could easily eat your army. Springolds also getting some nice pot shots. And the more I'm seeing this battle, the more I'm thinking that Iaguz is pulling ahead, because he's also floating a lot of food, so not only does he have 77 villagers as opposed to the 80 of his opponent, so pretty much even, he's banking up a ton of resources, and Lancer's Mangonels will be difficult for Don Artie to stop. I don't see any Springolds from him yet.
I see this game going late game, and
Oh boy.
Don Artie has such a strong food economy right now, and that would translate into strong gold income as well
Exactly.
later in the game.
That's the beauty of the English here. The English late game economy is one of the best in the game. If you look at the food income per minute, it's 1800 versus 1000. And I believe some of that food income for Iaguz is still from berries or so. Third town center coming in for Iaguz though, so he is definitely going for a massive boom here playing late game. If this goes into late game scenario with Imperial Age, which army do you prefer, the Abbasids or the English?
It depends, but how the game goes, I would say English. But in general, I would prefer the Abbasid army.
Speaking of the Abbasid army, here they come. They're trying to set fire on that one barracks. Looks like Donardi is not moving out yet. And by the time he moves out, that barracks might be set on fire. Iaguz looks like he's going to retreat once again. Villager counts are dead even, so could this be a race to Imperial Age? Because an Imperial Age power spike could be massive for either player.
Something that I don't like is that there is no siege workshops for Donardi. He could possibly die to mass mangonels.
And speaking of mass mangonels, there's 3 of them, and as you said, there's nothing that really snipes the siege here. The mangonels are a little bit positioned, but here they come, getting some shots on the now added spearman. Lancers, not in huge numbers, and many of them died to the spears though. This is actually an overextension here by Iaguz, I believe. He's slowly decimating the spearman numbers, but unless you get a good mangonel hit on those archers, it might be game over for him. Too many lancers go down here, and the mangonels aren't shooting the longbows. Mangonels once again trying to focus down the spearman and the men-at-arms. Men-at-arms slowly disappearing from the battlefield. Mangonels still not having a shot on the longbows, but this might be the opportunity. Another mangonel might be burned down to the ground here, and it's only 22 army from Iaguz. Donardi is at 49. Decisive win in this battle for Donardi.
Yes, it's gonna be so hard for Iaguz to replenish his numbers. He only has 4 stables, and those 4 stables, they have 12 lancers in queue.
That was just a perfect fight for Donardi. The spearmen were able to hit the lancers, and the mangonels never even attempted a shot on the archers. They were trying to focus down the spearmen, hoping that they can kill the spears, and then the lancers just do the rest. But it never really materialized. And with that, no mangonels now for Iaguz. Lancer numbers have been decimated, and now he is forced to add some men-at-arms. But those men-at-arms will be weaker than the English men-at-arms over here. Those bad boys for Donardi have 8 melee armor, so basically 4 men-at-arms here would beat the men-at-arms play from Iaguz.
With 2,300 food per minute for Donardi, it means that he can spam so many units, and you can see the flood of units coming from his base.
Yeah, it's just an insane flood. He set that English food economy up with all the farming, and now, as you said, it's just a flood of units. 72 army right now, and it's actually increasing despite all this fighting. Whereas for Iaguz, his population doesn't look bad, but his army numbers do. Down to 13 army, and Donardi already had the infantry siege upgrades, so it's just a matter of seconds for him to make some rams. It very much seems like Oceania is out of the tournament here, because Donardi is going to secure a win for Europe.
Yep. I don't see a way that Iaguz can come back into this game. I mean, there was a way that he could play the game before he lost his mangonels and lancers in the middle of the map, but now it's gonna be really hard. Almost impossible. Not almost, impossible.
It is indeed basically impossible for him. He's losing production buildings rapidly, and while he can try to make siege weapons, his only hope would be an enormous mangonel hit that just destroys most of that army, but lancers trickling in won't be enough against the combination of spearmen, men-at-arms, longbows, and crossbowmen. It is PopCap Donardi with 92 army versus Iaguz struggling at 100 population and 5 army. Iaguz will tap out any moment, and with that, Donardi secures the win. And when we look at this one, Iaguz was able to win that very, very close game on King of the Hill. But aside from that, Donardi seemed to have outplayed him in this set. First game was very dominant, and this one was also a lot more convincing from Donardi, taking the win and pushing Europe into the finals.
I'm really looking forward for the next games.
Me too. I'm absolutely hyped for that. Especially because Donardi also had some shaky moments in this set. So this game, for example, not making Spearman, for some time it looked like Iaguz could actually punish him for that. Then you had the previous game, which was just a massive amount of craziness with that Sacred Side fight. And of course, first game was pretty dominant, but it was the Rus on Highview. With that being said, the kill death ratio was dead even, by the way, between the two players. But look at that food eco for Donari, 6,000 more food. Better gold income, by the way, for Iaguz, but obviously Donari was mostly going for longbow, spearman, and men-at-arms. All of those are food-heavy units, so makes sense that the extra food income showed on the battlefield.